Anyway, so I thought that story was worth covering. I find it absolutely terrifying. The next story we're going to talk about is an interesting one, and it actually is going to lead into a story we do tomorrow. But it's a complete story. I don't like doing two-parters, but it's just kind of a lead-in. We're in Southern California, and there is a house known as the Harlow House, and it's known that because Jean Harlow used to live there with her husband, Paul Byrne. Some of you are already like, well, I know what this story is. So Jean Harlow lived there with Paul Byrne. And, they had a weird relationship where they loved each other, but he was also super abusive. He was small, and there was rumors that he was impotent. And Jean Harlow was like this bombshell movie star. Apparently he felt inadequate, but it was this very, very stormy relationship. He beat her a lot. He ended up eventually, from punching her so much, he caused her kidneys to fail. That's what eventually killed her. But before she died, he ended up shooting himself. And she was totally, heartbroken. She tried killing herself and all this stuff. He killed himself in his house. Now, we're going to fast forward a few years where a new homeowner bought the house. And, this is down in Southern California. It's basically around Hollywood. A very, very posh area. New guy buys the house, and he has a young friend. They used to date, but they're not dating anymore, this young woman. She's like, dude was out of town. And the new owner was out of town, and she's like, hey, can I spend the night there, And the dude's like, yeah, I'm in New York for the weekend. Go ahead, stay there. So she goes into the house, and she's sleeping. And in the middle of the night, she's woken up. She doesn't know why, but she just, wakes up with a start. And she sees in her bedroom a short ghost. And she recognizes him immediately. She recognizes it as the ghost of Paul Byrne, because she also works in Hollywood. And he was a big agent. And she knew that this was previously his house. And he's now running around in the bedroom, just frantically, bumping into stuff, opening stuff, just running around her bed. She's flipping out. She jumps out of bed, dodges him, steps over him, goes out of the bedroom. And she's on the second story. I guess I should have mentioned that earlier. She's on the second story, and you have to go down these stairs to get to the bottom, which is how houses normally work. But at the bottom of the stairs, she sees a horrible sight. She sees a body tied to the bottom banister. And she can't tell if it's her or the homeowner in New York. She knows it's one of them. In her mind, she's looking at it, and she knows it's one of them, and she's thinking, I have to be dreaming. That might be me, and I'm here. But she has an emotional connection to that body. And it is a body, because it's not just someone tied to a banister. It's someone tied to a banister. Their throat is slit wide open. They're just drenched in blood. But she has to walk down the stairs because the little dude is still banging into stuff in the bedroom. She's terrified. She walks down the stairs past the body, just slumped over. And she still can't see its face, or doesn't want to see its face. But she still knows it's either her or the homeowner. She's like, I need a drink. But she hadn't really been in the house before. She couldn't find the bar. This is a true story, by the way. She couldn't find the bar. She has something in her head tell her, look by the bookcase. And she goes to the bookcase, and there was a hidden bar, like a little private bar behind the bookcase. It moved over straight James Bond style. And she makes herself a drink. Now, as she starts to make herself drinks, she still hears the noise upstairs of whatever the little ghost dude bumping into stuff. And she can still sense that body still on that banister. And she's like, I'm straight up dreaming. I'm just going to drink until I pass out. As she's drinking, she's looking around, and she sees this gaudy wallpaper. And she starts peeling at it. And this is by the bar. She starts peeling at it. And she's just kind of trying to keep her mind thinking of anything else other than the horror that's going on around her. She eventually drinks herself to sleep. She wakes up the next morning, and there's no body tied to the banister. The house is quiet. And she's like, well, I don't know what happened. And she's like, I must have just been dreaming. I must have been sleepwalking or something. But she wasn't dreaming, because when the homeowner came back, he was like, hey, who was in my bar? Who was peeling out this wallpaper? And she's like, I got to tell you this story. I got to tell you the story of what happened. Now, this woman told us she was really into the paranormal, and she started telling the story around town. There's multiple witnesses that she told this story to. When the homeowner came back and he's like, yo, what happened? She told him about the dream. Now, the homeowner was Jay Sebring, and her name was Sharon Tate. And 3 years later, they were both murdered a mile away by the Manson family. And the story has always gone like this. Was that a premonition of her own violent death? When she would tell the story, she would say, I don't know who the body was at the bottom of the stairs. I felt like it was either me or Jay. She would tell this story around town. There's multiple accounts of this story being told. And 3 years later, they were lashed together. As the Manson family were killing them, they were tied together. Very, very interesting story. The idea is that Paul, he beat his wife, but he also loved her. He just had these horrible issues. The theory is that Paul was a loving person, but he just had like inadequacy issues, and he took them out on his wife. And he was trying to warn Sharon Tate of the danger that was coming. That's why he woke her up that night, but who knows? The first thing is like, did she make up the story? Did she somehow make up a story that kind of foretold her own death? Did it really happen and she actually told it to people? Or did people just make it up on their own? When I said it was a true story, it is a story that has circulated through Hollywood. People have told the story. I personally believe it. I think that that's possible to have a premonition like that. That's a quite horrifying one. But yeah, I think the most interesting part is that she couldn't identify the body, but she had a feeling it was either her or Jay Sebring. And it was more of just an essence, an emotional essence of a dead body, rather than like seeing Jay Sebring like, ugh. I think that would have been less creepy rather than just seeing almost like a soul dead. And she knew it was a soul belonging to her or her ex-boyfriend, the person she had a close emotional connection to. Very, very creepy story. And that ties into a story we're going to do tomorrow as well. We're going to do a little paranormal story about the Manson family. Very, very interesting one that I've been looking into for quite a while. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.